All right, on today's episode of Locked On Warriors, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, sometimes the Golden State Warriors, sometimes who knows? You call games
LA
further in
Clippers,
the
baby.
Kevin Danna and we're going to play a little game on today's episode of Locked On Warriors. I'm going to play the part of overreacting Cy, and Kevin's going to play the part of pragmatic Kevo. And I'm going to overreact to a lot of things because the Warriors through 4 games are 2-2, and they kind of got embarrassed on national television by the Phoenix Suns. Look, in reality, there's no overreacting to anything. It's just 4 games. The Golden State Warriors are the defending world champions, but there are things you can pick at. So I'm going to play the role of the overreactor. Kevin's going to put me in my place and ease the entire Dub Nation populace. You're going to calm them down. I'm not putting any pressure on you at all, Kevin. None at all. You're going to be the guy that puts everyone in a happy place. No pressure whatsoever, bud.
In the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax, relax.
This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. You can follow Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, and then some on Twitter at Kevo408. We're recording this Tuesday night, October 25th, shortly after the conclusion of the Warriors losing handily to the Phoenix Suns in a game that I'm guessing the Suns took much more seriously than the Golden State Warriors. But the final score does not lie, 134-105. Kevin, what is your first reaction before we play our game of overreacting and being pragmatic? But what is your first reaction to the Warriors losing by 29 points?
My first reaction is, at some point, the Warriors will need to be a better defensive team than they are right now. I think it's no question that they're going to be a better defensive team, say, a month from now than they are right now. But I mean, they've given up 11 30-point quarters and 16 quarters played, and another quarter with 29 points in a throwaway fourth quarter against Phoenix. Like, it doesn't look good right now. It just looks like they're not on the same page defensively in spots. I remember there was that one play in the second quarter, a bucket that Phoenix got a dunk on to make it 62-58, where I believe it was Stephen Poole. I think Reggie Miller on the broadcast said that was supposed to be a switch, but that wasn't communicated. And they just kind of stood together. And then whoever it was on the backside, whether it was, forget if it was Bridges or Cam, or not Cam Johnson, or Cameron Payne, one of those guys got just like a wide open dunk to push the lead back up to 4. I thought the offense for the most part looked pretty good, and then obviously when Klay goes out, that changed a lot, and they just kind of lost steam after that. But I think the big takeaway is defensively. I mean, this is a team that prides itself in being one of the best field goal percentage defense teams, one of the best defensive rating teams, and Phoenix shot 51% on them. The Nuggets did whatever they wanted to them, and the Sacramento Kings put up a lot of points on them too. And even in the Lakers game, I remember we were talking last week where you thought they should have held the Lakers 95 points. I thought they should have held them to 103 or 105. And despite the Lakers shooting 25% from 3, they were still able to get to 109 in that game. So the defense is the main takeaway. It would be nice if this is the thing that is improved quickest, I guess. I have no doubt that they're going to improve defensively. That's going to happen. This is one of the best defensive teams of the last decade, ever since Steve Kerr's got there.
Right.
But just through 4 games, it hasn't been there.
It has not. And just to add on to that, if I don't quote me on this, but I'm 95% certain this is true. Friend of a friend told me Raymond Ritter, the legend, the greatest PR man in all of sports, and maybe just all of the planet, period. He revealed a stat, which is that for 3 straight games, the Golden State Warriors have given up 70 or more points in the first half. That has never happened before in franchise history. That is not a mark you want to reach. And that's a little alarming. So I guess let's start there with the overreaction. 3 straight games where 70 more points have been given up in the first half. The perimeter defense is non-existent. And that Suns game, and we can go back to the Nuggets game, even that Lakers game on opening night, teams are shooting wide open threes. I do not see defenders out there putting their hands in faces. I don't see contested shots. And so when those shots are falling in, the Warriors are screwed. And that was as evident by tonight. And just to add on to this, obviously, the one person that I feel like will be helping tremendously is Gary Payne II, who is no longer with the team. Pragmatic Kevo, step in, please. I'm overreacting. Is this defense in huge trouble?
No, if you put the C and the Y in your name really closely together, Cyrus, it almost looks like a Q, if you know what I mean.
I was going to go there. I was going to go there, man. I was going to go there.
But, I mean, what was the exact question again, so I can, state it back to you?
First time in Warriors history they've given up 70 points in the first half.
That is a true stat. That is a true stat. The Warriors. No, okay, I remember what you said. The Warriors defense is not in trouble. This is what Pragmatic Kevo says, because there's just too much history where, to say otherwise. They had stretches in February and March last year where they really couldn't guard. They went from 42 and 17 or whatever it was to. They were losing 8 of 10, or just got in a really bad stretch when Draymond was out, and then Steph goes out, and obviously those guys are here right now, so it's a different situation. Defense still isn't looking good, but it's a small sample size. This is a team that obviously dealt with a non-conventional preseason, coming off a prolonged postseason. So you go to June. Then you come back, and I know this is more like excuse Kevo than Pragmatic Kevo, but hey, this is state-run radio here. I am a voice of the state and not of the people. I will remind you of that. And then you start training. You have training camp for a few days, and then you go to Japan, right? And then you come back from Japan, and there's the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green thing, and so obviously they're still working on stuff defensively, but there wasn't as much time. If Draymond was away from the team for a week, right? And he's your best defensive player, and he's the guy who sets the example defensively. And so if during training camp that voice isn't there for a week, that's not a great thing. Obviously he had to be away from the team, right, for other reasons. But the downside of that is that defensive wisdom that Draymond's able to share, he wasn't able to share. And through 4 games, it's showing that they just haven't put together a complete game defensively.
Right.
That said, there's 78 games left. And this is stuff that if any team can work this stuff out during the regular season, it's the Golden State Warriors. And so that's why I'm not worried. Now, if we're 20 games into the season and their defensive rating is 116, then come back and talk to me. It wouldn't be Pragmatic Kevo. It would be kind of panicking Kevo, but we are far from there.
All right. I was going to look up real quick what the team defense is this year. Are they the worst team in the NBA right now in terms of defense?
I don't know. I also the NBA.com stats probably haven't updated from tonight, and it's such a small sample size in the year that whatever the defensive rating is, go from their first 3 games, it's going to skyrocket after this game. So it's going to be worse. But where that, I don't know. I purposely don't look at NBA rankings of stats until there's a bit bigger sample size. That's also code for me saying I haven't done the research.
No, I looked it up right now, and at least on ESPN.com, and if this has through 3 games, so they haven't counted nights. But entering tonight, they were 25th out of 30 teams in the NBA in points given up, at least. All right.
What's that number? I can do the math for you. What was the points per game number through?
So through 3 games, they had given up 120.7 per game.
All right, so that's 362 plus 134 is 495. So that's 123.8. 123.8 points per game.
All right, so if everything else stands still, they'll be tied for last, or they'll be second to last. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Nuggets are dead last, interestingly enough. So, oh boy. All right, we'll see what happens. When we come back, obviously, I'm gonna overreact to a lot more things, including, Kevin, that letter Q that you alluded to, because I was thinking that exact same thing, and we're gonna touch on that in just a moment. First, got to give some love to LinkedIn, a relatively new sponsor of Locked On Warriors. And look, folks, especially employers, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. I mean, someone out there might need a new play-by-play broadcaster, and Kevin Danna is just sitting out there. He's on LinkedIn. But if you're not using LinkedIn Jobs, you're not going to find Kevin Danna. You might instead find some schmo, and you're going to regret it later on. You want to be 100% certain that you find the best talent, including. All right, Kevin, are you on LinkedIn? Let's just confirm that.
I am on LinkedIn, but I will say this: if you're not on LinkedIn and you look for a play-by-play guy, chances are you're going to find someone who doesn't say Vincent Wembanyama.
Fair enough. Well, but LinkedIn Jobs is absolutely the place where you can find the right people for your team. It's faster, it's free. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen today. Later on, for your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Side note, I love the host of Locked On Sports Today, Peter. He's a great dude. You can follow, and another great dude is Kevin Danna. You can follow him on Twitter at Kevo408. Let's talk about the letter Q. More specifically, the full name is Quinndary Weatherspoon. This is a player I think you and I both liked a lot last year. I was a little surprised that the team did not offer him a guaranteed deal. They initially were going to keep him on as a two-way player, and then they decide, we're just going to let you go. And he's still not with the team. The Warriors can, in theory, still get him back. That possibility does exist for now. They went with Ty Jerome. And Lamb as well. When I saw Ty Jerome out there tonight, I was not that impressed. I didn't get it. I miss Quinndary Weatherspoon. I'm overreacting. Pragmatic Kevo. Put me in ease, please.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I miss Quinndary Weatherspoon too, because I absolutely, he was a game changer for Santa Cruz last year. And, especially when they play the Phoenix Suns, one of the things that you think about with Quinndary Weatherspoon is his game against the Phoenix Suns. On Christmas last year. He was a real factor in that win. And then in one of the wins over San Antonio, he was a factor in the regular season last year too.
The Chioza game, yes.
Yeah, the Chioza game. I think Moses Moody had a huge game, and that was
he did.
The bench had a bit the bench delivered a victory in that one. It was their first road game in San Antonio, because I did the second road game in San Antonio, game 81. But
nice little slide in there too. That was
yeah. Just saying, NBA teams I broadcast games for are 8-2 when I broadcast their games. So if you want to win, obviously you know who to look for. Here's the thing: when it comes to these last two-way spots, it's not about necessarily who the better overall player is. It's about who's the better fit. And Steve Kerr made the decision that, like, positionally Ty Jerome was a better fit. He's
Yeah.
not saying that Ty Jerome's a better player than Quinndary Weatherspoon. He's saying for this roster that Ty Jerome made better sense. And Steve Kerr knows his roster better than I do. And, like, all right, looking at Ty Jerome's box score tonight, 2 assists, no turnovers. Yeah, -8 and 12.5. Missed his only shot. But, like, they want, like, that ball control kind of backup guard option. And with Dante DiVincenzo out tonight, like, it made sense for him to get rotation minutes. And I
Yeah.
didn't think he, like, I thought he was far from the reason why Golden State lost tonight.
Oh yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There was a myriad of reasons why they lost, and you touched on it at the beginning that the moment Klay Thompson was ejected, all the steam went out of the Warriors' bluster, and they were done. They were done after that. Okay, which leads to another overreaction, which is John. Well, okay, yeah. So I was going to see if I needed to read a sponsor here. Not yet. Jonathan Kuminga. This is for me. This is the only part of this whole show today, and the only part of the Warriors in terms of critique that I do think has a little validity right now, which is that Jonathan Kuminga, through 4 games this year, is showing a regression from 4 games his rookie season. He does not look like someone who's comfortable out there. Clearly, Steve Kerr does not trust him, as evident by the fact that he did not enter the game until approximately 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. I get that there's an issue here a little bit with minutes distribution, right? I mean, it's whose minutes are you going to take away to play Kaminga? Well, I actually came up with that tonight. I actually was thinking about that long and hard. And Kevon Looney struggles against certain bigs in the game. Like, think back to the first round of the playoffs last year against the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic ate him alive, and Jokic ate him alive again a couple games ago. DeAndre Ayton was also similarly eating him up. Just for some reason, Looney, there are just certain bigs who have a great post-up game who just destroy him. He just can't block shots efficiently, so they just shoot over him all day. And if they have a great touch on their shot from 5 to 10 feet, that ball's going in almost every time. I thought Kaminga could have eaten some of Looney's minutes tonight. I know Ty Jerome only played, I think, 3 first-half minutes. But again, those are 3 minutes I thought Kaminga could have used a little more. And the minutes could be there, right? It could work. My issue is Jonathan Kuminga will never develop his game if he doesn't actually play. And I don't think you can send him to Santa Cruz at this point. I just don't like the message that would send. I don't know if he would recover psychologically from that. But at the same time, and this is where maybe I'm overreacting, but I don't think the Warriors repeat as world champions if Jonathan Kuminga does not develop his game this year and become a legitimate contributor. Am I overreacting here? Maybe this is pragmatic. Your thoughts, Kev?
I'm going to give a non-answer because I don't want to like put it in a overreaction, non-overreaction. I will counterpoint with this.
Please.
That, like, he is playing more at the beginning of this year than he played at the beginning of last year. And, like, he is lathering up. I'm just looking at his game logs from last year. He didn't play in a regular season game until October 30th last year, which is like 2 weeks into the season. He didn't play 15 minutes into a game until like almost mid-November last year against the Chicago Bulls. And so I bring that up because, all right, yeah, he's not starting from square one like he was last year, but in some respects, there is like more competition he's dealing with this year. There's a James Wiseman who's healthy. There's a JaMychal Green there. And obviously, I mean, like, maybe he takes the place of Otto Porter, like, kind of structurally in the organization or whatever. But, like, there are other big men that he has to, like, contend with. And this is a team that will go small at times, not to mention Draymond Green, Kevon Looney. And so I would wait more than 4 games to say they're not playing Jonathan Kuminga enough. Like, at the end of the day, yes, it was garbage time, but he still got to 15 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it is a tough one because you want to see Jonathan Kuminga play. You want to see him get more comfortable. And it's also like Kevon Looney only played 17 minutes tonight. James Wiseman played 18 minutes, and I know that their minutes were more rotation heavy than Kuminga's were tonight. Like, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
But I think 4 games is too small of a sample size to say like there's an organizational commitment to not playing Jonathan Kuminga this year, because Steve Kerr has said there are going to be nights when certain guys don't play.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
That's kind of where we're at. Let's give this another couple weeks before we say Cyrus Bayless comes out and
oh no, am I that bad, dude? Am I really Skip Bayless?
I'm just messing around with you. But,
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if I accrue Skip Bayless as well, yeah, I'm all for it. But otherwise, no. And just to look at the game log here real quick, Jonathan Kuminga last year, his first game was October 30th against the Thunder at home. He played 6 minutes at 3 points, no rebounds or assists. His second game was November 3rd at home against Charlotte. No points, no nothing, but he only played 2 minutes. I almost don't want to count that. He played against New Orleans at home in his third game, played 7 minutes at 2 points. And then when you look at actual meaningful action, like his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, his 6th career game, he played 16 minutes, had 8 points on 4 of 6 shooting. His 7th game, he had 9 points in only 10 minutes of play. Next game after that, he had 7 points. And then you look at the log this year, where he has played in all 4 games, and his minutes are, I don't know. Like the opener, he had 13 minutes of play, 0 points. Second game against the Nuggets where they lost, he played 8 minutes, 4 points. Third game against the Kings, he played 7 minutes, 4 points. And then tonight, in 15 minutes of play, 4 points again, added 3 rebounds. I guess I just expected a little more. I know it's only 4 games, but I just expected a little more so far. And I guess the bigger issue here again, and I do believe this legitimately, that if Jonathan Kuminga does not progress and show legitimate signs of improvement, I really don't know if the Warriors repeat. I really don't, because what they gave up last year in terms of Gary Payton II, Otto Porter Jr., you couple that with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green being a year older, and that's going to be the next overreaction I'm going to bring to you in just a moment here in terms of whether or not Klay and Dre are maybe done. I mean, I don't know for sure what we can say about that. I mean, it's the regression is obvious to me. I'll find out from your perspective if that's an overreaction or not, or maybe there's some truth to it. First, got to give some love to BetOnline, another longtime sponsor of this program, and more specifically, betonline.net. They're your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. I got something interesting here in terms of betting. This is courtesy of Jimmy Shapiro, the president of BetOnline. You can bet on Russell Westbrook and whether or not he's going to be traded. If you bet yes, it's minus 600, not good odds, meaning
what?
Yeah, meaning if you bet $6, you get $1 back. So all signs are they're going to trade him. And if you think he's going to stay with the Lakers, it's plus 350. So that's where the action is in terms of decent, payback. And then the other one is if he's going to be traded by Thanksgiving, which is November 24th this year. Yes is plus 110. No is minus 140. Your thoughts on that wild proposition?
Oh, yeah, no, that's it. I mean, minus 600 for a yes. Like, I think like the contract itself, like I know it's expiring, but like it's a lot of money to move. Like you need to take a lot of money back to make it work.
Yeah,
I don't.
True.
Minus 600. That seems like a little low. I mean, like wow. Like I would not have put it at minus 600.
And remember, again, these lines are public perception, right? So they're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
going
yeah,
off the fact
totally.
that most people. And then here's the other thing: you could also pick the team that you think Russell Westbrook's going to be traded to. So the Indiana Pacers are the favorites at 3 to 2
Yeah.
odds. So you bet $2, you'll get 3 back. The Charlotte Hornets are second. The Spurs are third. And this is where it gets weird because you do have to match salary. So I don't know who you would get back from the Spurs if you made that trade. The Utah Jazz, the New Orleans Pelicans are fifth, and the Phoenix Suns and Brooklyn Nets rounded out. Any thoughts on the team that he might get traded to? That is some wild stuff there, I
I'd
think.
say like likely ones. I mean, Indiana would make a lot of sense. You think about like, Miles Turner / Buddy Hield. You attach
Right.
some picks to that, which if I'm the Lakers, I would do in a heartbeat. I would give those picks up like whatever. Like those
Yes.
picks would be like what, 2027, 2029?
5 years from now. Yes,
You
5
could
years
you
from
could
now.
trade back into the draft in 5 years. Like, you gotta try to make this work with LeBron and AD. Like, if you can get that value, you obviously need shooters. Like, through their first 3 games from theory, they're like 25 of 118 from downtown. Like, yikes. So they got to do something about that.
It's horrible.
The Brooklyn Nets, I mean, like, I could see that. Like, there were talks about Kyrie Irving, like that, LeBron and Kyrie's worked before, delivered Cleveland its only championship the city's had in however long it was, the 1950s.
Right.
So yeah, I think those two make sense. I've heard the Hornets thrown around a lot as well, just kind of on the Twitterverse or on talk radio. I guess those would be the 3 teams I would say most likely would happen. Again, like 3 games is a small sample size to say Russ needs to go, but like what is for sure is that the Lakers need more shooting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the best way to get more shooting right now is you got to trade for guys, and you're going to have to give something of value up, and that something would be Russell Westbrook, you would think.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind as well is if you trade for Russell Westbrook, you can trade him again in 2 months. I think there's like a 60-day moratorium between acquiring the player before you can trade him again. So in theory, like let's say you're the Nets and you trade Westbrook, you trade Kyrie Irving for Westbrook, but you also get those 2 first-round picks. You can then 2 months from now trade Westbrook again, and then keep those 2 first-round picks, and then hopefully get something else in the process. But yeah, it's fascinating. I do think the Lakers, I could care less how they do, but if they want to succeed, they got to move him. I don't see, but regardless, betonline.net. That's how you can actually bet on that. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online. It's where the game starts.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Wherever you get podcasts, and of course right here on YouTube, where you can watch the show. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. All right, here's the next thing, my next overreaction. Klay Thompson was ejected tonight. Steve Kerr alluded to it in the post-game press conference, saying that Klay and Devin Booker have a history. In fact, I'll play the soundbite real quick. This is Devin Booker talking about the skirmish that they got into that resulted in Klay Thompson being ejected for the first time in his career. I thought that was very newsworthy. Anyways, here's Booker addressing that really fast here.
I love Klay Thompson. I have from the beginning. From the draft coming out, I said I wanted to be Klay Thompson. That doesn't excuse us from competing against each other and talking a little mess with each other. So I have fun with it. Big fan of his and his competitive nature. And that's that.
And again, Kerr mentioned that these two have always had a bit of a chippiness between them. There's a lot of trash talking going on, but tonight Klay lost it. He just could not keep his cool. Ejected for the first time in his entire career. but he was not having a good night regardless. When he was ejected, Klay was shooting just 1 for 8 from the field. He was 0 for 5 from 3. And then when you couple that with Draymond Green, who entering the game tonight was only averaging 4 rebounds per game. He actually had 14 points. I think that's a season high for him. But look, from the eye test, Draymond Green defensively, which is supposed to be his strongest suit, is still amazing. But I don't know if he's the same player he was. I am seeing with my eyes, with my observation skills, a player that is showing signs of regression. Klay Thompson, I would not agree with that notion. I think Klay he's behind on conditioning. He's admitted he had the mental hurdles that prevented him from playing pickup basketball this last summer, which has been part of his routine. So I'm going to excuse him. To me, Klay Thompson, let's give him that 20-game window before we have any conversations about a regression from him, because I don't see it. I think he's going to be okay. Dre's another issue. Am I overreacting? Pragmatic, calm. Kevo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that's an overreaction because what I've seen from Draymond Green is a guy who's a lot more aggressive offensively.
Right.
Like, he scored double digits twice already this season.
Right.
And, Draymond Green is not known for scoring double digits twice in a 4-game span. In this stage of his career, it's not something he's necessarily focused on. He's looking for his offense more. I mean, I thought he was very impactful tonight. 14-8. I think he had 3 steals in the game, 5 assists. He was 7 of 10 from the field. He was efficient. He had that long 2 that looked like a 3. So
I know the first shot. Yeah.
Jumper.
Yeah.
I think he's looked pretty good, and I still see him drawing a lot of offensive fouls on opposing posts. Like DeAndre Ayton picked up an offensive foul against him early in the third quarter. I want to say Draymond tried to draw another offensive foul when he pulled him on him in the first half. I thought that was obviously a foul on Draymond there. I thought that was the right call, but he's still up to kind of his bag of tricks. I think he's looked decent. I think he's been pretty good for Golden State to start. I think he's pretty in tune. They talked about him having a really good offseason as far as being in shape and kind of just being basketball ready. That's what I've seen from Draymond Green. With respect to Klay Thompson, remember I think it was 2018-19 when he had 14 threes in a game against the Chicago Bulls. Before that, he was having a horrendous shooting year.
You're right.
He was 20-something% from 3.
I remember that, yeah.
It was 8 to 10 game. I don't remember exactly when in the season that was, but it was it was at least 5, 6, 7, 8 games, something like that. I think it was in early November, that game against Chicago, late October, somewhere around there. I probably should have looked that up beforehand, but
Shame on you.
But he has had monster slumps before.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he's going to put together 7 for 10, 8 for 12, 6 for 13, and all of a sudden he's shooting 37% from 3. So no, and I actually thought this was the spryest Klay has looked in a while.
Agreed.
When his competitive juices were flowing in that third quarter, he got the strip on a Devin Booker shot. He was moving his feet well. He was fighting over screens. The shot wasn't falling. But 8 shots isn't enough of a sample size for me to say, oh, he's lost his shot or whatever. I was impressed with what I saw on the defensive end for that one stretch where they were jawing back and forth. That let me know that, all right, yeah, this guy's definitely still got it. I wasn't worried about it, and I'm still not worried about it. I was actually more encouraged.
Yeah, and the thing with Draymond, I totally agree with you. Offensively, he's certainly shown an uptick in production. I mean, he's worked on his game. He's aggressive attacking the rim. I think he had 2 big dunks tonight on top of that long 2, which I thought was a 3. I don't know. I even hit the rewind button and looked at it. His feet looked behind the line. I don't know if they didn't review it or
the deep state, Cyrus.
They were in Arizona, man. But again, the problem I have with Draymond, where I see the regression, is defensively. And case in point, Anthony Davis, game 1, was putting up shots with ease, Normally, Draymond has his number. AD was doing okay, and the numbers.
Anthony Davis is like when he's right. He's like one of the top 10 players in the NBA. That's
Right. But
man.
Draymond's who you count on to stop these guys. And then Nikola Jokic in game 2 had a huge game. Aaron Gordon, who's the power forward for the Nuggets, I think had a pretty solid offensive game. And actually, I want to look that up for the numbers. Aaron Gordon in that game had 10 points, but 5 for 12 shooting. He went 0 for 6 from 3. I don't know if you attribute that to Draymond or not. And then you look at the third game against the Kings. I actually don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go to that one. But tonight, just because I don't have anything, did Sabonis play big that game? I don't know. I actually have no memory of, the box score from that game for some reason. My point is, and when you look at tonight, both DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, I just did not see the Draymond that normally causes a lot of problems on opposing bigs. He normally is a borderline lockdown defender when it comes to opponents' bigs, and I'm just not seeing that so far. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is an overreaction. Sabonis, by the way, had 19 points, 14 rebounds in that 130-125 loss to the Warriors. I don't know. So you think I'm crazy? Pragmatic Kevo is saying chill?
I am wondering where your whereabouts were on January 6, 2021. No, I'm just messing with you. But like, all right, if he has these problems in the playoffs, if DeAndre Ayton schooling him in the playoffs, which I mean, he wouldn't get all the minutes on DeAndre Ayton. Kevon Looney obviously would get some. James Wiseman would get some. But like, if he's getting burned in the playoffs, I would have some concern.
Okay.
Come playoff time. What happened in the end of Game 3 against the Denver Nuggets, right? Like, it was Draymond Green ripping the ball away from Nikola. Like, Nikola Jokic still got his numbers. Like, these guys are still going to get their numbers. But, like, in crunch time, that's when you see Draymond Green step it up defensively and win games. There hasn't been, like, a real crunch time. Like, I guess technically they've played in 2 crunch time games, within 5 points in the final 5 minutes, whatever, with Sacramento and Denver. But there hasn't been like this is a possession. You got to have a stop defensively. The game is really on the line on this play. And so I don't think we can judge that yet.
Sounds good.
My concern is like plenty of good defensive stuff from him.
My concern only extends to the NBA Finals. Draymond had 3 bad games, and I've never seen Draymond have bad postseason games in my life until those 3 games, and that raised alarms. You look at the back thing, you look at his age, he's got that streak of gray and that beard now. It's freaking me out a little bit, man. I'm freaking out a little. I want to ask you 2 questions, and we'll wrap it up. I know you're exhausted, and you have a long day tomorrow. We're recording this is past 11 now. Jonathan Kuminga, what do you see happening there, man? Like, how do you think this is going to get resolved? How is Jonathan Kuminga going to develop and become the player that the Warriors need him to become if they want to defend the world championship?
Well, how many? I mean, like, Draymond Green, he's not going to play 30 minutes a game, 82 games, right? Like,
correct.
Kevon Looney, I mean, all right, he played 82 games last year. Maybe he's going to be playing 82 games again this year. I'm sure he would like to play 82 games again. But he's kind of on a pitch count too. Like, the minutes will be there. There are going to be games where the veterans don't play this year. And it'd be a prime time for like Kaminga to get serious, meaningful minutes. Like when you were mentioning his games, or his 6th game where he had 15 minutes and did 10 points in 9 minutes. Like, that was like game 15 of the season or whatever. Even though it was game 6 or 7 for him, it was like game 15 for Golden State. Like, he is getting some rotation minutes right now, which is a more advanced stage than it was for Jonathan Kuminga game 4 of his rookie year. Like, there is progression in like the kinds of meaningful minutes he's getting as opposed to this time last year. And like, I just think it's going to kind of lather into more meaningful minutes unless he's not producing or whatever. And then there's another conversation to be had there. But like, even then, like, he is still 20 years old. He is still someone who, I mean, he's played serious level of basketball since at 13, which is like older than when most guys who are in the NBA right now start playing. So
Yeah.
That's why I would not be overly concerned with what's happening with Jonathan Kuminga right now.
Sounds good. And I know we're going late here. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with this. I want to quickly play this soundbite that just came in because, again, we're recording this on Tuesday night. This is immediately after the Warriors-Suns game. And this is Stephen Curry talking about the Klay Thompson ejection. And Steph doesn't feel like it was deserved. Why don't we take a listen to Stephen Curry and hear what he has to say?
This was his first career ejection in like 700.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't talk like the first 6 years.
Yeah. So now they have a voice.
A hard hand gesture or something he picked up.
Yeah.
For that makes sense.
But with this, no.
Yeah, I mean, I got it. No, just I got two. I think it's only two. Mouthpiece and me and nothing. Yeah, respect.
Okay.
So you doubled them.
Okay.
Sorry.
With it
That's a different question.
it's gonna come back. With it being his first career ejection, I mean, what do you think just tips him over the edge in that moment? Obviously, him and Booker were going back and forth about that entire quarter, but what tipped him over? What do you see?
The conversation is part of basketball. I mean, it happens every night, but it's not a surprise. I actually thought it wasn't ejection worthy because we were all kind of 800 people on the court trying to get everybody out the way, and it just felt like it was too much. But I disagree with that because it was a lot of just chirping on both sides, and everybody was trying to, collect themselves in that moment. And then obviously after they got thrown out, he had a lot more to say, which I love. But yeah, man, the back and forth is part of it. I like that he's engaged in that respect because it matters. It matters to him. I'm sure he'll be able to, keep it together going forward.
All right, there you go. That was Stephen Curry talking about the ejection. Didn't think he was deserved. That was a fun little back and forth at the beginning there, talking about just career all-time ejections. Kevin, I do want to end on a positive note. I think Moses Moody looked fantastic. I love Moses Moody. I love that he's going to be part of the future of this team. And I thought James Wiseman looked great. I'm really loving his progress. And when I see Wiseman growing as a player, you see the timing starting to click with him in terms of being at the right place at the right time, making the right moves, making the right cuts. There was a sequence there early in the game where they were forcing the ball to him. It was like 3 straight possessions that resulted in turnovers or missed shots, but that you could see that coming, and that's really exciting. The chemistry between Jordan Poole and Wiseman is super exciting, and hopefully with Kaminga, he's just on that pace, on that that progress line that Wiseman is on as well. It's just that Kaminga is a year or two behind. So, any last thoughts from you as we wrap things up here on a Warriors Suns post game show?
Yeah. I mean, I was super impressed by Moses Moody too. I just think the guy's a pro, right? He gets it. He just there are people who say he gets it. Moses Moody gets it.
Yeah.
and just everything that kind of like comes with that, right? Like he knows how to comport himself within a team structure. He knows how, and I'm not saying that other players don't. I'm just saying, like,
yes, you are.
That guy doesn't. Cyrus Saatsaz here on Locked On Warriors. I'm just messing around, but he just like he knows how to handle business, and
yes, he does.
I'm not surprised at all to see him like take this next step in his career. What else? I guess we kind of hit on everything today. Oh yeah, I mean James Wiseman. I think like the next step for him is getting his timing on defense. You see him like leave his feet from time to time, but offensively, I'm loving what I see from James Wiseman. Yeah, I mean, I know it's garbage time, but even the face-up jumper he hit in the fourth quarter with like a minute to go to, pull the Warriors within 23 with 75 seconds left or whatever it was. Like, he is so skilled. He's skilled, and he runs the floor hard, and he's taking to coaching, and he cares, and he's put in the time. And like, I mean, you know me, and maybe I wouldn't say any differently as a member of the Santa Cruz Warriors. Like, I wasn't going to say last year, oh, he's a bust, yada, this, that. But, like, I didn't think that. Like, I genuinely thought that this guy was going to be fine. And I think what we've seen thus far, this guy is going to be fine. And
absolutely,
I'm totally happy that the Warriors took him number 2 overall in 2021.
I'm encouraged. I mean, in hindsight, that's for another show, but I do kind of wish they'd made the play for the number 1 pick, because Anthony Edwards on the Warriors right now just makes me fantasize about a whole bunch of other stuff. But for keeping the pick and for who is available, I'm with you 100%. Happy with him. Still prefer him over LaMelo Ball. So yeah, I'm encouraged there as well. They just got to figure out this perimeter defense, man. And Quinndary Weatherspoon, I think he's still out there. He's still out there. That was a little depressing seeing him on ring night, man. I didn't like that, man. But what are you gonna do? What would you put as a percentage? And we'll leave on this note. What would you say are the odds, and stated as a percentage, that Quinndary Weatherspoon could once again be a member of the Golden State Warriors?
Oh man, I wouldn't even know where to begin with that one. That's tough. All
right, Ken, go. Have a great night, man. Thank you, everyone.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I wish I had a good answer for you, but I feel like any number, I could say 5% and feel like an idiot. I could say 95% and feel like an idiot. I have no read.
Man,
it's tough, just like those back end roster spots. It's tough to predict. I mean, they're depending on how a season goes, it all depends on who you want to give a look to, as
right.
Are you looking to develop someone? Or are you looking to get someone who could help you win games? You want someone who could just fill in because they know your system. I'm gonna go PC principle here, give you a politically correct answer, and say I really don't know.
That sounds good. That's all you can say, man. You're being honest. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Damon Bruce joins the show on Thursday. You can catch Kevin Danna. Do you know what time your Gary St. Jean roundtable show is going to be?
6 p.m. Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. 95.7 El Partido, the game.
There you go. And the man who's going to be preceding you, Damon Bruce, will be joining the next episode of Locked On Warriors here. Thank you, everyone. Kevin, love you, man. Thanks as always. You can follow Kevin Danna again on Twitter at Kevo408. Peace out, everyone. Bye-bye. Later.